Let me update you about my lipomas because there are some interesting news about it. Welcome back to my channel. I am Sylvia and I'm a carnivore diet coach. While on vacation in Poland, I went to a clinic that examined my lipomas, and what I thought was a lipoma turned out to be a damaged synovial bursa that got inflamed at some point and had this calcified, damaged scar tissue that looked like a lipoma and some extra elbow. You might remember it from my video that I did on lipomas. That said, I did have actual lipomas, but we'll get to that in a second. So the surgeon took a sonogram of this tissue, and it turned out to be a bursa that was grown into the skin and into the surface of my bone and joints. So it was a lot more complex surgery than I thought it would have been, and I decided to have it removed. When I first started a carnivore diet, I had a lot of hard times transitioning and staying consistent. And I went on the carnivore diet to get rid of rheumatoid arthritis, which was successful. I have a lot of videos about it, so check my channel out for these videos. I will link some of them in the description box. But during that period of trying to get on the carnivore diet and stay on the carnivore diet, I developed this persistent itch in my elbow, and I remember it that I was scratching myself for a week, and then the second elbow grew, and I thought this was a lipoma. And I also had a couple bumps on my Achilles tendon, so I was convinced this was a lipoma. And I think those that were on my Achilles tendons were actual lipomas, because when I got the carnivore diet right, within a couple of months, those lipomas went away and this one stayed. It changed the shape, it got a little softer and less warm, but it was still there, and no matter how much carnivore diet I was doing, this wasn't going away. Now, it turned out that I had one other lipoma, of which I forgot, which was right over here, just kind of growing off my shoulder blades right here. But I wasn't too concerned about that. I noticed this first time in my mid-20s, and a couple times a massage therapist pointed it out to me, but it wasn't really affecting my life. This one was quite bothersome because each time I put my elbows on the desk or I was trying to do planks, it was like unstable. It would snap, it would hurt me sometimes. So I wanted to get rid of it. And yeah, I went in Poland to a clinic to have it examined, and the doctor told me that in fact it isn't a lipoma, it is an inflamed synovial bursa that now is a one big lump of scar tissue and some calcified cells, and it was ingrown into the surface of my skin and the surface of my bones and some joint tissue. The surgery lasted about 1 hour, and that included the examining of my elbow, taking of the sonogram, setting up for the surgery, then taking a local anesthesia, and then cutting out of the synovial bursa. I thought it was going to be 2 stitches, but turned out to be 7 stitches. And the surgeon said that if it was still an active inflammation, then after surgery, the wound would leak, and that area would be full of fluid. But what happened was the inflammation was all gone, and so once the tissue got cut out, it healed really easily and really fast. One other thing I did prior to the surgery, I started taking homeopathic pellets with arnica, and after the surgery I continued, plus I was putting a gel of arnica as well on the scars, and I will continue doing it until the scars are completely healed. The surgery was done in the private clinic, so timing was I just went in for an appointment and went into the surgery room, and the total cost was about $200 US dollars. There was no downtime after surgery. I had to have my wound wrapped for 2 days and avoid taking showers not to wet the wound. But literally out of the surgery, I went to a restaurant for lunch. There was some pain first day and the first evening, but I got through it without taking off painkillers. I had a hard time falling asleep, and I woke up a couple of times because I pressed on the wound while I was turning. But other than that, it healed really quickly. And 10 days later, I had my stitches removed, and that's about it. Now, this tissue over here on my shoulder was the true lipoma. And I wasn't too concerned about it, but the doctor said that it is a lot better to cut it out, because even if it's growing slow, it will continue to grow, and eventually it can become the size of a grapefruit. So I was like, why not? Let's cut it out. So it was also local anesthesia. The procedure was shorter, about 20 minutes. And I had 2 stitches here. And now I have a little cavity left. This is where the lipoma was sitting. But let me tell you this, it was a monster-sized lipoma. When I saw it cut out of me on the table, my jaw just dropped. I was so surprised, and so was the doctor, that we both took pictures of this monstrous tissue. I'm glad I cut it out. It was about 7 centimeters long with little tentacles. Ugh. My current assessment is that I probably have a genetic proclivity to developing of lipomas. I do think this had to do with my rheumatoid arthritis, although if you look up the inflammation of synovial bursa, it's not linked to autoimmunity, but it was happening when I had active rheumatoid arthritis and when I was going through ups and downs of the carnivore diet. I remember that period clearly when I was sitting home. It was during the lockdowns. I was trying to succeed on the carnivore diet. My joints were inflamed, and this happened. The other lipomas, they also occurred during transition to the carnivore diet. That was on my left Achilles tendons. But once I stayed consistent with the carnivore diet, they went away. This lipoma, I noticed it when I was 25, about that time. Then I didn't pay any attention, and like I said, a couple of times a massage therapist would point it out to me. And then in my 40s, it got to the size of a little monster. Now, since this turned out to be not a lipoma, I had a similar growth on this hand. It's like an extra synovial sac with fluids there. And so I had it also sonogrammed, and yes, there are like extra sacs here and here with synovial fluids. So the doctor punctured it, drained it, and injected it with the steroid. If I wanted to have it completely removed, which would be a lot more complex than what I had done on my elbow, I would have to get it done in the hospital setting, and it would be a lot more complex surgery. So he said if it doesn't bother me, doesn't hurt me, doesn't prevent me from daily activities, that I should probably avoid the surgery on my wrist. Alright, so this is the update on my lipomas. What I thought was a lipoma turned out to be an inflamed and damaged synovial bursa. I was surprised, although if you think about it, it makes sense. I was dealing at least 5-6 years with continuous inflammation of my joints. That's what rheumatoid arthritis does to you. And so is this one. I think this is the aftermath of continuous lasting inflammation of my joints. It doesn't hurt. It just looks a little bit weird, and my range of motion is slightly affected, but nothing out of proportions and nothing that would prevent me from getting through the day. So I think I will leave this one alone, and I'm happy that this one's gone, and I'm really happy that this one got cut out, although I didn't expect it to be as big as it was. In my opinion, lipomas are connected to the amount of carbohydrates in your diet and how much carbohydrates you individually can tolerate. In my case, I can't tolerate a lot of carbohydrates. And when I started growing this thing in my mid-20s, I was vegetarian for many years and then vegan. And then when I had those ups and downs with binging on fruit while trying to do carnivore diet, that was when those lipomas on Achilles tendons grew and went away when I stayed consistent with the carnivore diet. So it seems that one of the manifestation of excess of carbohydrates and resulting from it hyperinsulinemia are changes in your skin, because I also had skin tags in my mid-20s, which now went away and I stopped developing them. Alright, so this will do it for this week's video. If you are into this type of content, you are interested to improve your health through diet, lifestyle and nutrition, hit subscribe, set that notification bell, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!